And welcome to the regular scheduled board meeting for the Clark County School District. I am Vice President Linda Davis, and in President Jared Ivey's office, I will conduct the meeting this evening. So bear with me. Forgive my indulge me, please, in any mistake that I make. I have lots of support. I hope on either side, so you guys help me to keep things on the road. So I hereby call the meeting to order. So this is a regular meeting of the Clark County Board of Education, which is scheduled for Thursday, June 14th at 6 p.m. at the Heritage Hall of the H.T. Edwards building. And that's located at 440 Deering Extension. So the board does request that all cell phones be silenced. And the meeting is now called to order. Dr. Means, would you please provide us a roll call?
Absolutely. Mr. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Payne. Ms. Evans.
Here.
Mr. Worthy.
Here.
Ms. Davis.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Dr. Young. Here. Ms. Thornton.
Here. If you would please stand and join us for a moment of silent meditation, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the recognition of achievement and awards. And that's going to be with Dr. Thomas.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Davis and members of the Board of Education. Tonight, I have the privilege of honoring many outstanding individuals in the Clark County School District. Ironically, they all are representative of the Cedar Shoals High School family tonight. Honorees, as I call your name, please come to the podium, accept your certificate or other token of recognition, and shake the hands of Dr. Means and other board members. Our first recognition is for the Charles Worthy Cedar Shoals Pride Scholarship. Charles Worthy Cedar Shoals Pride Scholarship is presented to a junior or senior who has or will earn a high school diploma and has demonstrated their pride at Cedar Shoals High School through his or her efforts and activities. The student is awarded a $500 scholarship upon graduation. This year's recipient is a two-time author of books entitled The Life of a Boy with Big Dreams and They Counted Us Out. Both books describe the challenges that teenagers face and how he personally overcame obstacles and hardships throughout his life. Willie Craddock Jr. beat the odds and will be attending Georgia State University in the fall, majoring in business. Along with Ms. Wade, the counselor at Cedar Shoals High School, I'm proud to present this year's Charles Worthy Cedar Shoals Pride Scholarship to Willie Craddock Jr. Congratulations, Willie, and we wish you the best in the fall.
Really.
You're going to stand on the chair.
Cadet Captain Malaya Moon. From the 29th of May through the 1st of June, 15 cadets from Cedar Shoals High School and also Clark Central High School participated in the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps and the Junior ROTC Cadet Leadership Challenge held at Elbert County High School in Elberton, Georgia. Camp Solid Rock was comprised of over 200 students from 11 area Army JROTC programs and 1 Air Force program. JROTC instructors from each high school selected students to attend JCLC, who demonstrated potential leadership with their individual programs. Over the 4 days, cadets participated in several developmental activities, including land navigation, map reading, and water survival. The cadets were also required to complete a leadership reaction course and rappel tower training. In addition to this rigorous outdoor itinerary, each school selected its very best cadet to appear before an evaluation board on the first night of camp. During this interview, cadets individually stood before a panel of judges where questions were posed pertaining to their knowledge of JROTC and current events. After completion of the evaluation, participants were then required to write an essay on a topic provided by the panel. For the remaining of the week, each competing cadet was observed taking parts in various leadership positions throughout the camp to evaluate personal abilities, strengths, and talents. Major Williams and the cadre of Cedar Shoals High School are extremely proud to announce that Cadet Captain Malaya Moon was selected as the overall winner of the evaluation board and named Cap Solid Rock's honor graduate for 2018. Malaya, please come and receive your certificate. And last but not least, we have Ms. Beth Campbell. Ms. Campbell, hey, come on, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Campbell gained the attention of Dr. Means at a meeting earlier this spring when he learned that she has served for 17 years in some capacity of PTO and parent volunteer for every level of schooling on the east side in Clark County. With Davis Fieldsman. Okay, and so she has finished up back at Cedar Shoals High School. So on behalf of the Clark County School District and Dr. DeMar Means, we want to thank you for your ongoing support of our schools. This concludes our recognitions for tonight.
Thank you. We're now on item B on our agenda, and that is, let's see. Are there any, it's time to amend or adopt the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Yes, Ms. Thorne.
I just was trying to make, I'm sorry. Yes, I am going to make my GSPA report in August. I know we have a long week and I am not at a special presentation, so I'd like to take that out of the agenda.
Okay. So we'll just skip that when we come to that. Is that necessary? Then we'll take it off. Carol.
Madam President, I would like to remove from the consent agenda for some additional clarification, items 7, 15, 16, and 17, please.
Items 7,
7, 15, 16, and 17.
15, 16, and 17. So moved.
And Madam Vice President, I did add stuff out, but I will be back. But I just want to make sure.
Great, thank you.
Could you give those numbers again, please?
Those numbers are 7, 15, 16, and 17. Are there other amendments to the agenda? Great. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion by Ms. Thornton. Need a second by Mr. Knox. Thank you. Any question? All in favor? Aye. Raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same? Great. The agenda is adopted as shown with the modifications. Next is item C, and that is the recognition of visitors. And so speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. At this point, remarks must be included. No speaker shall indulge in personal attacks while speaking. All comments are to be addressed directly to the Board of Education. To protect the privacy of our students, speakers shall refrain from identifying specific students by name. Personal concerns may be addressed in writing to the superintendent or president of the Board of Education. With that, we have 5 speakers for tonight. The first is Ms. Nakima Stovall. Did I say that correctly? Mr. Nakima, did I say it right? Thank you, Nakima Stovall. Thank you, Mr. Stovall. I apologize.
Keep Stovall, and my concern with, things.
Sir, can you speak more into the mic? Thank you.
My thing is with as far as the proposals on the school, as far as like, it's no urgency, why is there no urgency as far as getting the situation matter handled? And why isn't it in it, I'll say, teamwork, but like solidarity as far as with the board? It seems like everybody's split and people are pulling for this and people are pulling for that, when the right thing from what I see is on the table. I see like that Dr. Knox, he couldn't speak on that any better. He gave it down that people always talk about. He gave it to you. He put straight up 13,000 words that Anthony Land Trust come with. Elaborate. That's elaborate. That's not just a scheme to get their name out there, or that's a plan to me in my eyes. I don't know about anything else, but like I say, man, put it out there to where it's inevitable that this gets done with these people. They have the money. People willing to pay for the facility, get the facility done. The facility is for the community. Yes, the school board owns it, but this is the community's facility. And it's no good as far as from then to now to trying to move forward with other plans other than the land trust that I see is beneficial to that school and to these neighborhoods. Because it's the school itself to me is a negative thing. Because it only concentrated on disadvantaged children. So to me, we're bringing in something that's going to benefit the community, benefit the children. This is who we're talking about, the children, not us adults who want to get in our feelings and fuss and fight about certain things. It's not about it. It's about the children having something better, better opportunity than myself had at 5 to 12, 13, 15 years old. It's something on the table that these children can benefit from other than football, basketball, games, drugs, and all of that stuff. I just ask the board to reconsider their notions and thoughts and hearts, and let's focus on the real matter, and that's the children and the community. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Next up is Ms. Alexa Slobada. And this is Athens Land Trust. Did I say that correctly? Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me? Okay. So I just wanted to speak quickly about my experience as a young urban farmer, which is one of the programs of the Athens Land Trust. I was in that program for 4 years and got nothing but great experience. So I feel like it's something that should always be kept going. And I really wanted to thank them because they had a large part in me being able to attend the college that I go to, which is East Georgia State College. It's like 3 hours away in Swainsboro, but they gave me a scholarship, so I was able to actually go there because I wouldn't have been able to. They wouldn't really give that to me and allow me to have that great opportunity. And also just, I was there for the semesters and I came back over the summer to really get a different experience, because I've been the one being mentored, but this year I wanted to mentor somebody. I wanted somebody to have the same experience that I have had for the 4 years. So I came back to be a mentor of a different program and kind of lead the youth of today and kind of give them a vision of what needs to happen and give them the same, I guess, ideas of what learning is and what community is and all of that great stuff, just from my side of it. And I feel like that's important because the Athens Land Trust and the youth program, all of these programs they have, they give me that energy, they give me that opportunity to do things like this and to go places and to really speak greatly about what they can do and what they teach me as far as, just things that they don't teach in school, like home economics, grocery shopping, budgeting, what to do with your money that you make, how to make the money, how to keep that money and use it for good things and not bad. And another thing is I really just wanted to thank the school board for investing into that program earlier on in the years that I've been there, because without you guys doing what you've done, I wouldn't have been able to even be paid. And that's a good thing, being paid, but I get more from just the experience I get in the program at hand more than money. Like, money is always good. Everybody loves money. And we need it to keep it going, but the experience that they give me as a personal person and with the students that I have now is just things that I want to say money can't buy, but I don't want to sound cheaply, but it's, it's pretty true in that aspect. So I feel like that's something to really focus in on and kind of keep an eye on and kind of see what they're doing as far as spreading the word and kind of seeing how they're changing the game up for a different way of education and just a different way of, having a job that also teaches you things that you need to do and needs to know that you prepared for the later on life experience. Those things that life, throw at you. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Dr. Adam Kurtz, thank you for the work.
Hey there.
Hey there.
I'm Adam Kurtz, and I've had the pleasure of working in this district for about 15 years now, from Oglethorpe Avenue to Cedar Shoals to Park Central. Actually, I student taught with Mr. Worthy as my principal at Cedar Shoals quite some time ago. Also, some time ago recently at Chase Street, at the board office. And in all of my work, I've wanted to do two things. One was to be the best person I could be. The other was to have fun. And I promise I've done the second. And so I guess I want to say thank you and hope that you guys remember that while you're doing this hard work, this serious work, very passionate work, that you also have fun. And then I want to give you a little something here, and I want to give you a lot of your time back. I like being in a school. I like saying the pledge every morning. I like that you guys begin with the pledge each of the meetings. So I have do a little welding in my basement. So I've welded up a little flag out of some lights and say, hey, I approach without me. And so I just want to leave this here with you guys and hope that you enjoy it. Think about having fun when you say the pledge. Think about as you're making great citizens, as you're doing the hard work, as you're engaged with all the passion, that you have fun. So thank you, and I will give you some of your minutes back. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kurtz. Next is Ms. Heather Benham, West Broad School Proposals.
Hi, I'm here to express my hope that there's still an opportunity for partnership with the district for the West Broad Rising proposal. I also wanted to let the community know that despite how this opportunity plays out, the Land Trust is still committed to continuing to support positive things happening in the West Broad neighborhood.
Thank you, Ms. Benham. Next, Ms. Willa Fambrough, West Broad School Proposals.
Good evening. I said more about West Broad than most, and it's not just a garden. And I don't really have anything new to say about West Broad. But this I do know. that God asked Paul on the Damascus road, Paul, why are you fighting this prick? God has spoken about West Broad and only him, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Van Brunt. Now we are down to the superintendent's report. Dr. Means?
Madam Chair, board members, audience members, I am pleased to inform you that we have 864 elementary school students enrolled for summer school. We modified summer school this year to be a full day model. We've had a concern, I have a concern about ensuring that we have programming for young people during the summer. So our elementary school programming is from 7:40 a.m. to 2:25 p.m. I think it's helping parents. We have after school services for those young people. So typically with summer school, it ends midday and then you have trouble finding childcare. And we think that that's a reason why we have such strong numbers at the elementary level. At the high school level, we have 393 students enrolled, and again, we're pretty, and that's between the two high schools. We're very pleased with the numbers. I wanted to share with the board that we're happy with the modification we made with the elementary school model. The last thing I would say is with our middle school model, it is still a half-day model. Young people start at 8:15 a.m. and it concludes at 12:30. But overall, the last few weeks since we started summer school has been very successful. I wanted to share that with the board. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that since February, Ms. Angela Tillman has been supporting the superintendent's office and has stepped in and helped putting together the board packets. Our board packets are extensive. We've heard from the community that it's hard to navigate sometimes because it's one large PDF and it can be hundreds of pages. Ms. Tillman has done this work in addition to supporting Dr. Dawn Myers and the Office of School Supports. Ms. Tillman, I just want to thank you publicly for taking on multiple jobs. She's always done it with a smile. She's learned on the fly. With me still being new to CCSD protocol and learning your culture, we have learned together in a way. And so it's been a crash course. I can't thank you enough for helping us navigate through this. It was a tough few months because of the lack of support that I had daily in the office, but I know that we kept things moving forward with the board packets and getting ready for board meetings. So Ms. Tillman, as a token of our collective appreciation, we have this plan for you. I'm also pleased to inform you that we do have a full-time executive assistant to the superintendent's office now, Ms. Dee Vodka. She's right here. This is her first board meeting. She started with us this week. She is from the state of Georgia, has worked in Georgia for many years. She retreated to Minnesota for a few years and worked in that climate and has enjoyed being back in Georgia. So we welcome. The last thing I will share with you in terms of just initiatives and movement of the school system, we are moving forward and we will have board docs up and functional by July 1st. So the board docs platform will be very different for everyone involved. We'll have trainings arranged for board members in July and early August, but it should be much more convenient for the community to access board packets. You won't have to download hundreds of pages anymore. You can go to a certain agenda item, click on it, and get that report and print that one report. Our policies will also be transferred over to board docs. Again, Ms. Tillman did an amazing job in working with GSBA transferring our current policies over. That's going to give us more flexibility with policies, and that we won't be honed in on the descriptor that GSBA has. We will have a little bit more flexibility with our policies moving forward. But I wanted to let the board know that transition is nearly complete. It's been heavy lifting. Again, this gentleman led the charge with that conversion, but we'll be ready to go in July, and we'll get dates out to you for training, so you are more comfortable with the transition over to board basketball. That's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you. I'm excited about that. Okay. So as we move forward on our agenda, we are down to item E, which is there are several information items. All of these were in our packets earlier, so the questions, if you've had an opportunity to read those, are there any questions about either of the item E information items? That's the CLC SPOS monthly reports were made, SPOS 4 and 5 reports were made, Early Head Start Policy Council meeting minutes and reports were made. The Athens Community Career Academy and reports were made, and also the Parent Advisory Board meeting. Any questions about those items? Hearing none, I would, yes, Carol.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the Career Academy, I know we talked several months now about scheduling joint meeting of the boards, and since we won't be meeting again until August, I just wondered if that would be set way in advance so we can get it in our calendars.
I met with the executive committee, which consists of Dr. Daniel from the Athens Technical College, C.J. Emerson, and Judge Burton, Judge Barron. Maybe a week and a half ago, we are in the final stages of identifying some dates. The tentative dates will probably be our work sessions in September, and also again in the second semester, either February or March. So we hope to have to finalize those dates. But right now, the tentative dates are September and March. And more information will come to the board in the coming weeks. You're welcome.
So are those like quarterly meetings or those alternate dates?
No, our executive committee, the four of us, felt that it was important to have two opportunities to meet. We want to have at least one meeting first semester, but with change in governance seats, we felt that a second semester would be prudent. And so that's why we've identified 2 dates. And again, we've tried to, I have suggested to our executive committee of the Career Academy that we focus on the work session dates so we can combine as much of the work as possible together.
Any other questions?
Can I just ask one more question? I know at the last meeting or sometime recently, I think Greg had some questions about the Parent Advisory Board, and are those getting answered?
Not really. So I'm not sure what the form should be to get the answers, but.
What are the questions, just so we're clear?
Okay, one is that I'm not certain as to the role of the board member there. And so that was my immediate concern as having represented the board in the last one. So I guess everything kind of flows from that, because if the board member does not need to be there, then what's the purpose of the board member being there? And if you're there for a purpose, what is that purpose?
I actually met with their chair, Mr. Boyd, earlier this week, just to talk about the Parent Advisory Board and its role. And so we're going to continue to have those conversations. I think it's a valid question that you're posing in terms of what is the role of a Board of Education member at a Parent Advisory Board meeting.
And the corollary to that, Dr. Means, is just the fact that, we're told at the board that the PAB meets at 6, but if the superintendent doesn't come until 6:30, then situation of hearing conversations that there's no need for us to be there, or no need to hear. So the other, if a board member needs to or should be at the PAB, what time should they be there?
So my understanding is it's always been 6:30.
Okay, that was not made clear to me, and so that needs to be recorded somewhere for posterity's sake.
Thank you. Where was I going with this? Okay, so with that information items, if there are no questions, yeah, let's leave it that way. We don't have to vote on that.
No.
Okay, thank you. Did that answer your question?
It did.
I'll just keep calling you Carol. Thanks, Carol. Okay. So item F, we're down to our board reports. Ms. Thornton has already advised us that she will give the GSBA report in the August meeting. She did get to attend the conference though, because I got a text from her. Then also government relations, Greg.
I want to say a couple of things, and I don't want to steal Ovita's thunder, but we had two resolutions that we introduced again. We did it earlier for GSBA to accept as part of their legislative agenda, and they were voted down. We introduced three at their committee meeting back in May. One was accepted, two were voted down, the other two were pushed forward to the meeting, to their summer meeting that Ovita attended. And the one that I'm pleased to report that our attempt to put DACA, on the agenda for the Georgia School Board Association did not pass, but the vote was like 45 to 73. And I think given the nature of the subject, I was very pleased with that. So I did want to share that. I think in terms, we are having a government relations meeting on Tuesday at 4:30, and we're going to have a presentation by a faculty member of the Carl Vinson Institute on school board local government collaboration.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Worthy.
Don't have anything.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Ms. Ellis.
Yes, so if the board elects tonight, or votes tonight to place the B policy packet on to out for public comment, it'll be for about 42 days this time due to our meeting schedule. I just wanted to notify the public as to where it will be located on our website. As Dr. Means said, we will be switching over to Board Docs on July 1. So our platform for the way our policies look and have been presented thus far for years is going to change to a different platform. It's all good, but it just changes up things a little bit. And so Dawn and her staff was so great to put a tab under Board of Education, and they added the tab District Policies Pending for Public Comment. There's not anything there right now because we don't have anything pending for public comment, but assuming that we move forward tonight with the Bs, then you will see them there. And then there's a Google form that you can put your email address, the policy on which you're commenting, and then your comments, and then send them in. So that's a great tab. I think that's much clearer than it was in the past. So I'm super excited to see that. It's very helpful. Thank you, Dawn and the team and everybody else. And then just to recap the B policies that are going to be put out for public comment, several of them, I hesitate to say a percentage, but I would guess maybe a fourth of them have already been approved through the full board, have been vetted through public comment and all that. But just as a full transparency and as having a complete packet as opposed to doing it in segments, we thought it would be too confusing to do it in segments. It was very difficult for us to keep track of all the segments, and Dawn and team and Angela made us a chart that made it a lot more clear for us, but we just thought to keep it more, it's not concise, but to keep it more So you can see the whole thing start to finish, but several of them have been already approved and vetted through the board, through the public and approved by the board, and you'll notice that. You'll recognize them, but then there are other additional ones that have not. So we welcome your comment on all, but just if you look back and you're like, oh, we already did this, we did. But we just wanted to put them all out there. All right, so thank you very much, and we're proud of the work we did. It was almost a year, so 10 months worth of work as a policy committee, and we're ready to move forward and do other policies now. So thank you.
Great accomplishment. Thank you so much, Ms. Ellis. All right, and finally, on the property committee, I had the joy of visiting with Mr. Kane today. He sounds fantastic. He looks great, and he promised me that he will call a property committee meeting next week. So his doctor has not yet released him to return to us, but he felt like he was strong enough for us to take care of some immediate business in the building. So I'm excited about that. And what is left? Now we're down to item G. These are the action items, and this is for we'll need a vote and approval of the minutes of previous meetings, starting with the work session on May 3rd, 2018. Any concerns with those minutes?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I do have concerns with all of the meetings, all the meeting minutes, and I did not have time to, I've got markups on a lot of things and questions on some others, so I am not able to vote on these this evening because of the numerous changes that I think need to be made to these minutes.
Okay, so therefore, are you saying that you're not able to vote on any of the minutes?
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. Until clarification is made and some things corrected.
Do we have anyone else that is in that same position of not being able to vote on the minutes as presented?
No, I belatedly circulated a few typos and changes on email, and so I'll reiterate those, but I think I can vote on them.
So that would be approval with corrections that were so noted in Dr. Knox's email earlier today. So any questions about any of the other minutes in particular? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes with necessary corrections.
I move that we approve the minutes, Madam President, Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Is there a second? I'll second. Are there questions? For the vote, all in favor of approving with corrections? 5, and opposed? 1. Thank you.
And I do hope that the board will entertain some corrections to the minutes in the future because there are some issues.
Absolutely. So all of these packets are subject to any corrections that we bring forward to our administration's attention. Appreciate that. And if it's something that needs to come back to the board for a full vote, we'll be happy to entertain that as well. Okay. Next, look at you, Mr. Larry Hamill. Trying to leave early. Okay, we have the financial report.
Good evening, board members, meeting staff, and attendees. Tonight we'll be talking about the April 2018 financial statements. We'll show you both the balance sheet, revenue expense sheet, before we show the cash flows and KPIs. Just some highlights on the balance sheet here. We have currently a cash balance of $47 million and a unreserved fund balance of about $47 million, or $7 million ahead of where we were last year. That will be shown on all the KPIs. On the revenue expense sheet, some highlights here. As you can see, when you look over numbers, I'm sorry, let's see if I go back to that. There you go. We're at 85% for revenue collections. A couple things I want to point out though is if you look up there, you can see that for local revenue, we're at 99%, so we're almost completely collected to the end of April. And for ad valorem taxes, we're at 99.6. So anything we collect for the next 2 months will be the review and putting on the cake, or however you say it, I'm not sure. We are at state revenue of 60%, exactly where we should be. And if you look at the bottom for federal revenue and income transfers, we're at 400%. Now, if you go to the expenditures, you'll see that we're at 69.8%. We're slightly less than where we need to be here today, which means we're spending less than we liquid at this time this year, and I'll go more in depth on that with the cash flow. Yes, please. Please make it bigger. So as you can see, with 99% of the collections out of farm taxes, we only look like we have about 260,000 left to collect for the months of May and June. We're on pace to surpass that amount. Currently, we are about $146,000 below collections in QPD. That's because midterm income is greater than we thought it would. But overall, on a budget of $142.8 million, we've collected $143.2. So we're over collected by $447,000. On the expenses, year to date, we had a budget of $145.9 million. Currently, we spent $142.7 with the projections for the month of May and June. In the calculations, the actual numbers for July through April are in there. So with only 2 months left to go, currently we're projecting a under expenditure for year to date of $3.2 million. That combined with the extra revenue we collected will show a difference of $3.7 million versus the deficit budgeting of 3.1. So currently we are showing a possible surplus to fund balance of almost $585,000. And that will result in a ending cash flow balance at the end of the year for fund balance of about almost $2 million. Can you go to the key there, please? So if we talk about the cash position and the fund balance position we were talking about earlier, you can see where we're ahead of schedule last year. A lot of that has to do that we've underexpended this year and that we've actually left a little bit more than we projected. So we're slightly ahead of 17. If you look at the income collection versus the expenses paid column, you can see that the blue line represents what we think we should be budget-wise for each of those areas, and the red line represents where we are currently in collections. So we're slightly behind what we think we are in budget year to date, even though we've over-collected. But in terms of the expenditure, we definitely are showing a trend from almost the beginning of July to now, where we have underextended year to date for the month of April. All right. The breakdown of the monthly income of about $6.5 million. You can see that the largest amount we collected was the QBE funds of about 5.7, and the rest of the breakdown is there. The next biggest is ad valorem. The expenses are about 11.5 for the month of April, and you can see there the largest expenditure is about $7 million for construction, so the rest broken down by the different high components. Okay. If we take the actual budget versus the revenue projections and map it out, you can see that on the revenue, we're just right at or slightly above where we should be. And if you look at the actual budget, the expenditures, you can see that line diverging away. That's where we have potential surplus of almost $600,000. And the last line, the first column is not a month, it's the budget itself. And as you move from left to right, you can see the months. You can show how the budget was staying on par through the month of August, since then it's slightly raised to where we are now, with a potential surplus of almost $600,000 for April. Vice Chairman, that is the financial report for the month of April.
I am so encouraged that this happened at the meeting that I'm presiding over. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Entertain a motion to I just want this for information. Super. Well, thank you very much for saying. Anybody have questions? I'm excited about that surplus documents.
We are as well, as the board approved the use of fund balance last week. We believe that we're already replenishing what you're doing.
Okay, so next on the agenda, we have item 3, which would be policies, regulations, exhibits that Ms. Ellis has eloquently explained to us. So I need a motion to put these out for public comment and review for 42 days until our next board meeting in August. Is that correct?
Minor tweak to that. The public comment will close on July 27th,
Okay.
which is 42 days. But that is so that we have time to review all public comment, because if we left it open until the board meeting, then we may not have a chance to kind of digest some of the comments. So the public comment will close at the minutes, but our minutes reflected it last time, but maybe the agenda, July 27th.
Thank you. Is there a motion to post the policies, these are the board governance policies, for public comment? Motion by Dr. Knox, a second by Mr. Worthy. Any question? All in favor? Awesome, that's unanimous. Thank you. That motion carries. And I'm gonna make this thing so easy. Next on the agenda would be the policies to adopt or rescind. We're going to take these individually so that we have an opportunity for anyone to make comments. So we have first policy GAN, which is the employee tobacco use policy that was just one out for review. Do I have a motion to adopt this policy? So moved by Carol, seconded by Mr. John. And Dr. Knox. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? That motion carried unanimously. Policy IDAG, that's the values and character education. That is a revision to the policy. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Davis. Is there a second by Mr. Worthy? Any question?
I have a question actually for, I guess, just for ritual separation. Were there any responses to any comments from the public?
Oh, thank you. None on any of these.
On any of them?
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding. Okay, so I think we're ready for the question on IDA. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Policy JCDA, the student code of conduct. This was one that was out for review. Any questions on the student code of conduct? Do you have a motion to move it forward? With the exhibit. With the exhibit, that was the review of the changes, the exhibit. Motion by Ms. Williams. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Davis. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Policy, I'm sorry, oh, that is with the exhibit. So we took care of that in that same motion. We're good? I didn't realize that. That's cool. All right. I love this. Record time. Next, we have the consent agenda with the changes that were so noted at the beginning. We have removed from the consent agenda item 7, approving the 2018-19 school resource officer contract with ACC government. Item 15, action to approve student growth model system. Item 16, approval to amend the fiscal year 19 budget to include carryover funds for awarded LSGT innovation grants. And item 17, action to approve CABR demonstration classroom proposal. Those are removed. I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, to approve the consent agenda. Yes.
But we're doing the consent agenda.
We're doing the consent agenda, yes.
I'm making a motion
To accept the consent agenda. Motion by Ms. Thornton, second by Ms. Williams. Is that right?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Make a comment on the consent agenda.
No, I just want, I heard you say item 18.
I think I'm going to correct on this. So the ones that we took off of the consent agenda, 15, 16, and 17.
Right, you just said CABR at the end, I thought, so.
Action to approve CABR demonstration
No,
classroom
that's not
proposal.
the,
That's
CABR is
17.
not on the consent agenda, just 7. CABR is not on the consent.
It is online.
It is on.
It's online.
It wasn't on the original one that we had.
There's a line in between 17 and 18. So,
Mr. Davis, I thought you pulled that off last time.
which one?
CABR.
Item 17.
There's also catapult learning models.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Oh, I see. There's a misnumbering or a different number.
Okay.
This is.
The one that was at your desk, the agenda that's at the desk.
Yes.
And it,
Oh, the one that's above your head is different.
Okay, I'm so sorry then, let me see. All right. Oh, yeah, so paper isn't there. Is that number 18? So 17 and 18 are reversed on the hard copy that you have at your desk and what's on the screen. So then we'll need to go back and amend the
We should just leave it as it's there, because I do have a question on it.
Okay.
So on that numbering system, which ones are removed from the consent agenda?
Just
7, 15, 16, and 17.
On this one, it's 7, 15, 16, and 8, well, 18. 18 is actually
Okay.
paper.
But 17 will stay on.
The 17 states, the one called UJ partnership was not considered on this document that I.
Why are they different?
I think there was a mistake made. They should be flipped over.
Yeah.
But from what I'm hearing from Ms. Williams, consent agenda items 7, 15, 16, and 17 are still items that you want.
Right.
Or,
So they make it
and that's number 18 is not a consent agenda item anyway.
So.
That's my
18 is
understanding.
gonna be
Is that accurate?
the one called UJ partnership. That is a part of the consent agenda and we are pulling that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I got it.
We got a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Didn't get a second, so I'm going to second.
Okay, so the motion was by, yeah, Ms.
You did.
Thornton, second, we've got Ms. Thornton, second by Ms. Williams. And then she had that question. Okay, so are you ready for the question? All right, we handled the question already. I'm feeling like I'm doing super efficient here. I want to let Jared, but we'll get out of here one more time. Okay, also, how about the vote? All in favor? We have a unanimous vote. All opposed? Thank you. We are now down to the executive session. I need a motion.
No, 18.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I drew a line. I messed up. I was trying to be Jared. Okay, so number 18.
Madam Chair, I believe we need to go back to number 7 now and field any questions that there was.
Okay, number 7. We'll start with number 7. What was the question on the 2018-19 school resource officer? Okay. Contract. Okay.
In just reading this contract, I just wanted to make sure in the term of it, it indicates that prior to January the 2nd of 19, that we'll evaluate this agreement to determine if it is to be renewed for the 2018-19 school year.
That language should read, prior to January 2nd, 2019, it will be, the agreement will be evaluated, and if it's in good standing, it will be renewed for the 2019-20 school year. Yes, that's something that needs to be changed in the agreement language.
And then and I just didn't understand that the new contract will be forwarded to the commission on the 15th of 19, which you're speaking of the 19-20 contract.
That would be for the fiscal year 20, or the 2019-2020 school year.
Okay, and on the payment on this document, it says that the district will reimburse the government for the assigned officers within 15 calendar days of the receipt of the itemized invoice. But it doesn't indicate how often this is being invoiced. Is it typically on a monthly basis, or how is it invoiced?
I'm not quite sure. Is it monthly?
It is monthly, so I would suggest that it's indicated for clarity on there, it's monthly.
We can make those modifications.
And Chair, I have no more questions on that.
All right. So Dr. Means, are those questions, we have everything for that one?
Yes, no.
Excellent. Did we just go through all of these now and just get all our questions done?
No.
We need to vote on this one. All right, with those changes as indicated and agreed to, Mrs. Williams. Okay, now I have a motion to accept the approval of the 2018-19 school resource officer contract with corrections. So moved by Mrs. Thornton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ward. All in favor? Opposed? This is a unanimous vote. Thank you. Let's get a couple of questions. Number 15 is action to approve student growth
Right, and
model system.
I had to flip over to page 3 to get the actual recommendation that's coming before the board, which states its recommendation administration that the Board of Education approve the student growth model system from EPRA, but it does not state an amount or where the funds are coming from. And way over in the document, the only thing I see on monetary so far is $96,600 per year. So is that what we're paying?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the only, and I would like that motion to state the amount and also what is the funding?
It's out of general funds. It's coming from Mr. James Parliament's budget. He's our executive director of assessment and accountability.
Okay, and this contract can go higher, professional development is requested.
That's accurate.
And with those additions to the recommendation, those are the only questions I have.
Anyone else? With the recommendations for the changes from Mrs. Williams, do I have a motion now to approve?
So what exactly is the motion now?
The motion is to approve the student growth model systems contract.
I think the motion, Mr. Horton, is to explicitly state the exact amount for the growth model.
And source.
And we typically don't identify source for general fund usage of the budget. But I think what I'm hearing you ask for, Ms. Williams, is to clarify the dollar amount that's being approved.
And I think we've spoken in the past about identifying where the funds are coming from, just for clarity.
So we typically identify if something's being funded outside of general funds. If it's outside of general funds, then we'll identify, for example, as title funds. But generally, when we present something to the board, it's coming out of general funds. It's coming out of the general budget. So I guess I'm a little confused in terms of identifying which line item of the budget is coming from. If it's from general funds, then we identify general funds. If it's title funds, then we would identify its title funds. If it's a request to use fund balance, then we would identify that source.
Because there have been requests that have come to the board, like from transportation or different segments, whatever.
If you would like to modify your amendment to make sure that it also identifies that it's coming from the general fund.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that's what we did.
So again, just to reiterate, I think what Ms. Williams is asking for is A, to identify the specific dollar amount, and B, to identify that it's coming from the general fund.
Those are the two things that I made note of. Yes. And I understand I hear what you're saying, and then like on some of our sheets, we definitely see that. Are you looking for something more specific than general funds? Are you looking for an account line or something, or just that it says
Just to
general
know where
funds?
the funds are coming from.
Just general funds, okay.
In absence, I would rather not send.
Okay. No worries. With those modifications, do I have a vote to approve the student growth model system?
Well, Starting made the
I just had a question,
but, she did include what Ms. Williams said.
And that's what I was saying, so do I have to go back now and?
Yes.
And what?
Just
I
restate.
motion that approve the recommendation, which would include the dollar amount of $96,000 and the source general funds.
Awesome.
Second.
Second by Mr. Worthy. Any question? All in favor? Opposed? This motion carries. Thank you. Item 16, approval to amend fiscal year 19 budget to include carryover funds for awarded LSGT innovation grants. What was that question?
Just for clarity, this says that we are carrying over the funds for the awarded LSGT innovation grants. Are these the ones that have been awarded and not completed, but the schools that did not request funding, any grant funding?
So there's two different forms here. The $198,097.12 represents award grants that have been identified, yet the work has not been completed. There's also a budget of funds where some schools did not submit a grant, and as a result, that money rolls over into the fund balance.
The fund balance go back to the school.
To the district's fund balance.
Just districts.
And it rolls back into that. It's a really good question, Mr. Orton. It rolls back into fund balance because the way that we constructed the grant process was one of you submit a grant and either you were awarded the grant or the money sat dormant. We did not construct the process to be one of if you didn't submit a grant, it just sits there until you do submit a grant. It's got to be a process in which if you've identified a project to work on as an LSGT, then you use the funds to make that work happen. If it doesn't, it rolls back over into the fund balance for the district.
And were these separate funds that were based on being a charter system?
Yes, ma'am. So these are the funds that the district receives, and this is the area in which innovation can truly grow and flourish from an LSGT local school perspective.
So it seems like it would be a line item in the budget for LSGT, and those were designated funds.
But the way that they're not funds that can sit there and roll over if you don't have a plan. The way that Mr. Barliman and the team structured the work was if you have a designated need or focus for the work, then you should use it. If your school hasn't had that conversation or you don't have a plan, then it should roll over. It shouldn't just sit dormant and then you can roll it over the way that we do, for example, with title funds, where you have a carryover, if you will. I think that's the concept that you're suggesting that.
No, I'm not suggesting that, but I wondered if.
Well, so I want to be clear. So the $198,000 are funds in which schools identified a task, they did not complete it, we're rolling it over. I think we're now into a conversation of, so what happened to the schools who didn't use the funds that were allocated for them? What happens to those dollars? And what the answer to that question is, it rolls over to fund balance.
So then my question is, if it rolls over to fund balance, and this is the charter fund, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if it rolls over to fund balance and it just get all meshed up in there, how do we know, or how do we track it later on, like 2 years later, that this, how does it separate, or does it? Or does it matter?
Well, that's why I was referencing the carryover concept.
Yeah.
So there isn't a carryover concept with this. If your local school governance team didn't identify a use for the funds, then for fiscal year 18, the process is one in which it's designated that you didn't use the funds. It goes in the fund balance. That's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is you can just roll over all those dollars that were unused, even if your school did not submit a grant. That would be a carryover concept, right? So if you're the Wilson school and the Wilson school didn't submit, or their grant wasn't, either you didn't submit a grant or your grant wasn't approved, it doesn't mean that the dollars sit there for your use of it until you either A, have a grant approved, or B, you decide to submit something.
But once it goes back into the fund balance, does that make that open to everybody?
No, that means fiscal year 18 has been closed. It goes back to the concept that we just discussed and Mr. Hammond presented. It goes into the general fund balance. It doesn't stay in a line item as a possible carryover for fiscal year 19.
Another example, Dr. Means, the finance report that Mr. Hammond gave on last Thursday, with the money that was appropriated for travel for board members, we didn't use all of it. Where's it going? Back into the general fund balance.
Right.
But I guess the only difference that I'm struggling with, this is charter money, right? This is charter money, this is.
No, we're talking QBE money.
No, but the story's right.
No.
What we're discussing right now is the charter
Okay,
fund.
all right.
And I think what Mr. Worthy was, he was trying to make an example of, anytime you get unused funds, it typically rolls over into fund balance.
That part I get. I just want to make sure that, we have an audit that, or something happened, and somebody's looking, how much is left over from charter money, how much is general fund money? How do you distinguish that? That's all I'm asking. Or do, I mean, if we
I don't know if we have to designate that or not.
I mean, it may not even be an issue. It may not even be an issue.
Ms. Thornton, the funds are QE funds, as Mr. Worthy talked about. If the funds are not expended, they do grow into fund balance. And because they're state funds for the school to operate, there's no designation for them in the fund balance category. They are just general, unreserved fund balance.
So that is the charter district money, that's all.
Right.
Okay, I'm fine. I'm good.
I think I'm now confused. I'm sorry, I thought I had it. So we do not have a separate bucket for charter money. It is only there until you award the grant. Once the grant's awarded out of that grant money for the charter system, right? We use it or we lose it. If we don't use it, then it goes into the general fund balance.
I thought there was a line item somewhere that said charter money. And if it is all QBE money, I'm good. I got, understand.
It's all general fund, QBE funds. We receive extra dollars because we are a charter system.
Yeah, now I was gonna ask, is that every year we get extra funds?
We do.
for charter?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we do.
So, the ones that didn't do anything, there's still grant funds available.
We believe that for fiscal year 19, we need to be more explicit in identifying to local school government schools that they have funds, and to use the terminology that Ms. Davis used, either you use it or you lose it. And I think this is the first year that we went through that process. And so some of the schools didn't realize that they may lose the opportunity to leverage fiscal year 18 innovation grant dollars. And so we will work to express that either you have to use the funds or it will go away. And that's why we want to be thoughtful about allowing the schools who haven't used their full dollars to execute their grants.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jones.
So in this past year, by that terminology, 198,000 was used. Is that right?
I would say that.
No. How much was a total? Yeah. How much was used? So that's not only part of it, right?
It looks like in the amount in our executive summary says a total of $302,000 was awarded to 15 schools. From that amount, 103,975 was intended to be used for June 30, 2018.
So 302,000 is what was used or will be used.
Right.
How much was not used and therefore losing, right? In other words, how much was originally budgeted?
How much? Yes.
I have to look the information.
I'm sorry, I'm asking this in real time. It just occurred to me.
Okay, I'm sorry, Linda, I have questions too.
No worries, was I ignoring you?
No, unless John was not done. Because I thought I knew it, and now I'm done. So we get an allotment from the state for, I'm gonna call them innovation funds for the charter school system.
Actually, we get funds that are called charter funds only.
Okay, they're called charter funds.
Yes. It's included in our QBE worksheet that we get from the state each year.
Okay, and so this is money that even though it sits in general fund, it has its own designation of what it can be used for. Am I right or wrong?
Designation in terms of.
Well, if in other words, even though it's in the general fund, we can't say, well, we're going to do something else with it in terms of on the district level.
My understanding from the state is every school has a different charter, and they designate those funds differently to be used.
Okay, so
let me answer it differently, Mr. Davis. So what I would say is that as a charter system, we've identified the use of these grant dollars, and we have earmarked it for the use of the local school governance teams to leverage and apply innovation based on their local school needs. We felt that it would be inappropriate for us to use those dollars and then put it into general funds to hire teachers or to buy technology. So I appreciate you asking the question. I think it's actually highlighting the fact that we are truly behind the charter system model and the local school governance model by ensuring that each local school governance team use these dollars to be innovative based on their local school needs.
So in actuality, we're not contract, we don't have to do that by the state requirements. But we see it in the best interest of the school.
We believe that that's the true spirit of being a charter system.
Okay, I mean, and that's great. I just wasn't clear about that. So when you say lose it or use it or lose it for an individual school to apply for an innovative, for some of this chartered funds, for an innovative project, if they don't utilize it, we as a school district, we don't lose those funds. They simply stay within the general fund. And so the following year, when we get additional money, so say if this last financial year, if we got, let's say $300,000, of which maybe only half was actually spent by our charter schools, then we don't lose the money. It just stays in our account. And so the following year, if we get an additional $300,000 with charter funds designation, does that mean that we now have $450,000 available?
Well, sir, I really appreciate your example. So let me take a shot at it and try to use some language that I think we should all try to use. We are a charter system, right? And so we have schools that are part of our charter system. We have a total of 21 of those schools. Let's just use the raw number. I don't want to give a guess of how much we receive, but let's just use a round number of $500,000. Let's say through QBE, there's $500,000 given to our school system, our charter school system, to then allow our local school governance teams to create innovative grants. Of the $500,000 in this example, if $250,000 is used and $250 is not used, that means the $250 that isn't used goes into a charter system, because we're a charter system, it goes into our fund balance. The next year, let's just assume the legislature gives us $600,000. If the local school governance teams say, we're going to use it this year, they use 500 of the 600, how much goes into fund balance? $100,000. That's the way the process works. And so I wouldn't call the schools charter schools. They're not charter schools, right? But language is, I want to make sure language is important. But the local school governance teams have the ability, and we want to make sure that they continue to have the ability to use those funds to be innovative in what they believe their school does. Does that help, sir?
Yeah. I mean, that means the school district doesn't lose the funds. The individual, that money in the next fiscal year, it starts afresh.
And I think yes, sir. And I think this is a really important conversation. I think procedurally, there's nothing precluding a local school governance team coming to the district and saying to us and asking us, will you support us coming to the Board of Education to use $100,000 or $50,000 in fund balance for something that we want to do innovative in another fiscal year? Just the same way that we come to the board and ask for the use of fund balance, and I think the presentation from Mr. Ham was really interesting. Last week you approved the use of $1 million, $500,000 in fiscal year 18, $500,000 in fiscal year 19 to purchase a new ELA curriculum. But you've just heard that we're continuing to add to fund balance. And so that investment that you made actually will mitigate itself because we're continuing to be prudent financially. And so by coming to you and asking to use fund balance, you should, I mean, if you're tracking where we are financially, then you know that the actual impact of the request isn't as steep because we're continuing to be prudent from a fiscal perspective.
And you said it, just the fund balance is going to go up if money's left over. The fund balance is going to go up. The general fund is going to automatically go up as the more you add into. I just wanted to, what I was trying to figure out, and I'm good with it, is that we'll be able to use that indiscriminately, I guess, what I'm saying. Once it goes into that fund balance, we have the freedom to use it for other things.
It's not restricted.
That's
yes.
That's
right. Yes, and that's really important. And thank you for kind of probing. Just because the charter dollars or the money for the charter grants is going into the general fund, those aren't restricted dollars the same way that your dollars are restricted when you sold Barber Street and you can only use it for a certain purpose. That's a really good distinction. Yes.
Is there no more questions? Yes.
Dr. Means, I'm trying to get the idea of how, of course, LSG, I know you've been through trainings with LSGT teams this week. There's been a focus on in terms of spending these dollars. I mean, people tend to say, we want to be reasonable. So, in other words, even though we have maybe an LSGT team that really wants to go over the top in terms of some type of program or some type of activity in their school to increase student learning and to engage families and that type of thing. I think human nature is saying, that's how much the pie is, and so I can't sit there and take a quarter of the pie because we only one LSGT team. On the other hand, I mean, it may set a pattern for the school district that other LSGT teams, could. So I'm trying to figure out what kind of direction when we talk about these funds. Obviously the sky is never the limit, but I mean, because I looked at what these proposals were last year, they were all reasonable, in terms of a fair piece of the pie, so to speak. And I guess I just don't know if that's something that, in terms of the training, in terms of talking about these innovations, how far do we encourage innovation?
So,
I'm sorry. Question, because I want to get us back later. We want to get to this piece first, and then let's see. Is that question out of item 16, the approval to amend the budget to include that carryover?
Yes.
How so? It sounded more like, how do we allocate this, and how was it presented to the local school governance team, and how do we end up with some getting or not? And that, I don't know that that's a part of number 16.
Well, I want to know why there are carryover funds. Okay. Maybe so. Put it under that.
Okay.
If you so choose.
I can answer quickly. Each school is given a dollar amount.
Oh, they are.
They're given it right, and so it's not. You submit a grant, you get to request $500,000 or $250,000. So each school is given a certain dollar amount, and so some local school governance teams were really diligent in developing a plan. Some were not, and I think, and we're really happy that Dr. Alsbury was here with us all this week and in the audience this evening. I think the feedback that we received is that some local school governance teams are still trying to figure out what their role is, what their purpose is. Once they figure out what their purpose is as an entity, developing grants to support the purpose, I believe, will be more pronounced and be more clear to those teams moving forward. And the training this week was really excellent. It identified that the work of the local school governance teams is to ensure that the school growth plans are moving forward. And if there's something that emerges from those school growth plans that it it looks like the school has a need, it should emerge from the productivity and the achievement of students. If the team at the school level decides we need to use our grant dollars for this, then I believe there will see more grants over time. Yes, ideally you want to see all the funds used, but I would say with the one caveat, use wisely and use well. And so if it rolls over to fund balance this year, I think that's okay as long as we're getting the local school governance teams training so they can be more strategic and deliberate about the use of funds in future years.
Well, they do have a dollar amount, and that was.
They do get a dollar amount.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, item 16, we need a motion to approve the carryover funds for the, thank you, Mr. Davis. Do I have a second? Ms. Ellis, thank you. Regular question, all in favor? And that's at 100% unanimous for item 16. Item 17, action to approve one column UGA partnership, is that correct? Did I get that right? Super. And what was our question there, please?
The same thing, but the recommendation on page 3 or 4 indicates to approve the partnership, but it doesn't indicate in the motion the amount of money. I'm assuming it's $209,063. Is that correct? And also it has no funding source, so would that be general fund? And this is the autism and behavioral, so I wasn't sure that would be general fund. And also the front page on the background, it mentioned that we began partnering 2 years ago. I'm not sure we're doing the same model, but on some of the information we got, it's now referring to year 1. Are we in year 1 of?
The fund source would be special education and reading services. We have a portion of our special ed funds that are specific to students. I'm actually not special ed. And so this model would be to support their behavior needs.
So where did you say the funding was coming?
It's CEIS, which stands for Consolidated Early Intervening Systems. It's a big branch of special ed that's designated specifically actually for regular ed students, and it's as part of our disproportionality.
Are these title funds?
No, ma'am. Special education. It's 6B funds, but it's not titled as you've been discussing here this evening. They are specifically earmarked under special education.
So naturally they would come out of special.
Yes, ma'am.
Funded through state.
I'm sorry?
Funded through the state.
Federal.
Federal.
Well, through the state and federal government, yes, ma'am.
So, you said that, I think you said about, students that are not special ed, so are you also, so that does that include 501, 504?
They could be served with this model, yes.
But it doesn't have to be special.
Correct.
Even though it's the special ed fund.
Correct. So what happens, specific to CEIS, we are mandated to take 15% of our special ed funds out of that grant, and we are mandated to ensure those funds are used to target non-special ed students in an attempt to best meet their academic and behavior needs so as to prevent a referral for special education. And so the money that is pulled out as part of that 15%, that is the fund source for one column. And it is designed to do just that, to address academic and behavior needs for students, because our goal is to meet their needs before they're found eligible for special education.
May I just say something in general? Ms. Williams, you're actually bringing up a really good point. We can change in the future. I just want to talk about the financial side of things for a second. We can change our executive summaries to also include the fund, how much something's going to cost, and what source it's coming from. If that's a question, we can just modify our executive summaries. I really appreciate that. If that's your counsel, we can make that happen as early as August for our next meeting.
That would be great.
Yes, ma'am.
That is important, that's something, where that's coming from.
Consider it done.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
With that said, are there other questions for item 17? Have a motion to approve the action to approve for the One Colony MGA partnership.
Do we already have a motion?
I don't have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Got a second?
Second.
Ms. Ellis, motion, Mr. Ward, second. Ready for the question? All in favor? Great. Opposed? Motion carried, 100%. Great. All right. So next we're item 18. Am I correct? Item 18 is the action to approve the K-Bird demonstration classroom proposal. Is that right? Super. Is there a motion to approve the K-Bird demonstration classroom proposal? Ms. Ellis, is there a second?
I'll say
Ready for the question?
Again, I would, want the amount of listed in the recommendation, 325,672, that is the total amount.
Yes.
And we were talking about Cater, the same department we're doing on this one as well, right? We're just continuing this classroom.
Yes, ma'am.
And what year is this?
We began the partnership in January 2016.
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Great. We are now to, that ends the consent agenda portion of our discussion. We are at item 19, action to approve the contract with Catapult Learning for alternative education services. Do we
I
have
would
a
like the
motion?
motion.
Yes.
Make the motion.
Mr. Davis, motion, do we have a second? Ms. Williams, second, ready for the question? Yes, Mr. Nutt.
I had just one question. So the cost for this is $912,000. What was the cost previously? I just feel like I should track what the cost was when we first signed up with the other.
Dr. Knox, it's the same exact cost this
Okay.
year. In fact, when we asked them to add additional services, including one additional staff member as a registrar, they did that for the same cost. So we're very pleased. They had a lot of startup costs to get the facilities renovated to our specifications, to meet the state guidelines, and we're very happy with the facilities. And as we look at infrastructure and adding a registrar, we asked them to do that, but it's the very same dollar amount for the contract.
Thank you.
Excellent. All in favor? I'm sorry, another question? Yes, sir.
First off, again, I want to say this publicly. I really appreciate the way this contract is written, and the metrics that were put in for evaluation of the program. And I really call that to board attention to, because that's something that we did not have previously. And so that, certainly Dr. Means and his staff is to be complimented for that. Even though I guess it was in place prior before you got here, but it certainly is consistent with your expectations. I do have, I have one kind of philosophical question. When we sit down and talk with them, what do they need for a viable program in terms of enrollment? And the reason I ask that is that there are so many things that we're putting in place to try to address student behavior and student decision making at the home school. And and we did have a short conversation today, and I kind of asked that question, not very well, but is there a certain number when they say, we can do 100 And, but if you knock us down to 35 per center, it's just not financially viable for us. And I just don't know, because the number 100 came about when we first contracted with the other company, so.
So I'll try my best to answer that. Of course, the number fluctuates.
Right.
There might be 6 students there in August
Sure.
and September. It's actually the best teacher-student ratio money can buy in our district at the beginning of the year before students come to discipline hearings. As the year goes on, there's more and more students. My hope is always that with all the interventions we're putting in place, restorative practices, trauma-informed schools, all of these supports in the schools, that we'll see less need for students to go to a discipline hearing. We don't pay them, we pay them a flat rate no matter how many students we send, up to 100, right, correct. So we've only had 100 at any one time. My hope is that with all these practices, we're gonna have a year, and I hope that it's this coming year, where at any one time, we're only serving, even at our highest, 60 students. Or our total won't be 142, that it'll be much less than that. Then I would propose that we would lower that contract amount because they'll be serving so many less students. But we go into a contract with the anticipatory data from the previous year, knowing who we served. So these numbers are fairly consistent as far as how many students are sent to discipline hearings and need to be served in alternative education. So we just haven't seen that drop yet. But Mr. Davis, I'm right with you, and I hope that I'm around very soon to see that day when we're able to say we don't have a need for those services because our other interventions at the home schools are more and more effective.
Okay, thank you. Another question, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
One thing, and I do appreciate this additional data that you presented us in terms of the number of students served. One thing that would be helpful would be, and maybe it's in here and I'm just missing it, which is possible, but in terms of the students with IEPs, if we just keep track of those numbers, because a few years ago that was a major issue that we had. In fact, we were actually not in compliance with the contract at one point with the previous company. So that would be something.
We've been monitoring that. We have those data. I'd be happy to provide them.
Yeah, that would be great. And then we also talked about month by month enrollment. We've already talked about. In terms of, in terms of transitioning back into the homeschool, and I know this is the first year of Calico, so you can't really evaluate them fairly in terms of recidivism. Yeah. But that's something obviously I know that's tracked. I know we track it.
It is.
And also just in terms of if we would get feedback from students once they transfer back in, feedback from teachers, kind of to see, what the experience are of these kids being transitioned in.
So Mr. Davis, before we developed the new contract, we met with all secondary administrators and the SPED coordinators who have been serving the SPED students who are there to solicit their feedback to answer just that question. How are our students doing upon their return? Because the idea is always to return to the homeschool. So that's really the best metrics. Are they, have they kept up with academically? Have they made some changes behaviorally? And so we did solicit that feedback from the building administrators. We actually had several meetings throughout the year, and we made some tweaks and adjustments all through the year to the program and to what we needed from them for our students to be most successful when they returned.
Also, Dr. Miles, I'd like to add this. Coach Rouse made a report to this board in the audience, I know at least twice, in terms of it, and I really like that. In terms of transitioning students back into their home school, they just don't send them back. He conference with them, and then he's constantly checking on me.
Yes, sir.
I can't even recall all the things that he said, but I knew it was quite impressive. And that was the first time that I could recall it ever happening in this school district, which I thought was very positive.
Yes, sir.
Is that,
I've got, excuse me, I'm sorry. Another issue that we
had at one point, which again, I think it was an issue that I had as a board member. I'm not saying it was an issue in terms of the administration at the time, but was, the way that we measure academic progress while they're in the program and how we integrate them back in academically. What I was just focused on was socially and social emotional stuff. I know it's mentioned in the program called Ingenuity.
So that's the very same online electronic learning platform that our students are using in the high schools for credit recovery. Okay. So we asked Catapult to have the very same, they have their licenses that they pay for while students are served in alternative school. It's a seamless reentry, especially for the students that come back into credit. Either they're already in credit recovery at their home high schools, and they just pick up in Ingenuity, which is the E2020 platform. They pick up right where they were. That's the most seamless. But if they were taught face-to-face, they come to the Learning Center, they are served in the E2020 platform. Reports are generated so that if they return during that school year, their face-to-face teacher knows exactly what unit. It's all matched to our standards and our curriculum, so we're able to provide that seamless reentry, whether they're going to be served in Ingenuity back in the homeschool or face-to-face.
Now, what about the middle school students?
The middle school students, the Ingenuity platform allows them to maintain with those middle school classes in their content areas while they're there, and then we just simply do the same thing. We give progress back to the school when they return about where they are, what standards they've mastered, and their grade comes with them. The grade that you'll see for students is cumulative through the whole year. So if they're at Clark Middle for August, September, and October, they have a certain grade. Then they might drop in to the Learning Center for the middle 3 months of the year, and we that's a third of their grade, and then they might return to Clark Middle, and that's the last third of their grade. It takes some fancy calculating, but we're trying to give students every chance to improve academically in the smaller setting and with more attention when you're in a Learning Center.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you, Dr. Myers. It sounds a lot like that presentation you gave to us when we first voted to work with Catapult. So this is excellent. Looks like
Good
our bases
questions.
are covered. Yeah, this is great. So do I have a motion to, I have a motion to accept, I have a motion to, a second on that motion. All in favor of approving Catapult contract, please raise your hand. Thank you. Yes. We have 100%. Thank you. Opposed, like sign. Number 20. This is the action to approve the 2018-2020 district strategic plan.
I don't have any additional comments. Presentation happened last week, and it's pretty straightforward.
Do I have a motion to approve the strategic plan?
I move that we approve the strategic plan presented by the superintendent last week.
Great, now the second from Ms. Ellis, Mr. Worthy, motion second from Ms. Ellis, ready for the question? Ms. Williams.
Dr. Mays, I just have one question. I was looking at strategic priority 1, and then at the back on strategic priority 6, it mentions in A and B, accelerated growth on strategic goal number 1. Does that mean strategic priority number 1?
Yes, it means priority. Strategic priority number 1.
Okay, so that should be just priorities instead of.
It should be priority instead of goal. Yes. You're looking at strategic priority number 6, goal statement 3, where it has A and B. It says accelerated growth on strategic, it should say strategic priority number 1.
And B as well.
And B as well.
Okay, yeah, just going to make sure I was.
Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
Make sure I was correct.
Good catch, all right, so do we have any other questions on the aggressive strategic plan?
we're really excited about the fact that not only will it help focus the district, it'll help from a governance standpoint as well. The dashboard, the other things that we've talked about over the course of this year, we're now poised to be prepared to do, starting when you have your next meeting, where that's the focus of our work. And I would be remiss, this is probably the best time I can do it. I want to thank everyone again that's on that steering committee. And today was the last day for Dr. Monica Gant. She will be moving on and serving the state of Delaware as an Associate Secretary of Education. We celebrated her, told her to go off and do well and do good things in Delaware and not to bet too much on sports, since they're the first state to legally allow for sport betting. But we're really proud of the community effort, and we're thankful to the board. You put a lot of time into this as well, so thank you for your.
I've heard great things from the community, they're a good portion of this too, so I'm feeling really, really good about this plan. We have the motion, right, and we have the second. We got a question, all in favor of the 2018-19, this is a 5-year plan, right? 2018-22, okay, district strategic plan. Thank you, that's a unanimous vote. With that, we are down to item 21, which is personnel recommendations. Dr. Means?
Madam Chair, board members, you have in front of you all the recommendations that we have. We still have 75 vacancies that we need to fill between now and when school starts for staff, which is July 30th. So we'll continue to work hard at it. Of note of this report, you will see that I think our assistant principal recommendation for Chase Street School is part of this recommendation. We're really pleased to is that? Thank you. She's under a transfer because Sabrina Lumpkin is a native of Athens. She is currently the instructional coach at Gaines Elementary School. She's a proud graduate of Cedar Shoals High School, so this must be a Cedar Shoals net. And she emerged from a very strong pool. Got Dr. Andrea Neer, the new principal at Chase Street School, went on down, and we're really happy about not only about Ms. Lumpkin, but all the candidates that are before you. This is my recommendation that you act on these in a positive fashion.
Do I have a motion to accept the personnel recommendations?
I know that we accept recommendations from the superintendent of Ms. Personnel.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Ellis. Motion by Mr. Ward. Any questions?
Yeah, I just had a question, just to anticipate. Do we think we've seen all the resignations? Kind of the internal one.
No.
There's still some coming.
No,
This is different than the list we approved just a week ago.
Yes, it's that time of the season where there's a lot of action and a lot of movement. And I think your question is a strong one, Dr. Nance. I anticipate there will be more movement. This is a time where educators are trying to figure out what their landing spot will be for next school year.
Okay, any further question? Yes.
Yeah, I just have one, and this is just something that a couple of years ago,
the Human Resources conducted a exit interview and I'm not sure it was. I'm not sure how valid it was, but anyway, and I, obviously at some point, maybe that's something that we can re-examine in terms of what that looks like.
Yes, sir, we can definitely take a look at potentially, and I'm pulling up the strategic plan that you just approved because one of the things that we want to do is construct an exit interview that's going to align to the work of the strategic plan. There will always be people who are leaving an organization and their exit interview is not positive for a number of different reasons. In those cases, respectfully, you have to identify if that employee was ever aligned with the organization's direction anyway. What we don't want to lose are individuals who are aligned and they're leaving for other reasons. And so we'll construct an executive or exit interview that will capture that type of data. Yes, sir.
All in favor? Opposed, like sign? This is unanimous. And that ends our agenda until I need a motion for executive session. For the purpose, of evaluation of the superintendent.
I move that we go into executive session to purpose of doing the superintendent's evaluation.
Motion by Mr. Ward, is there a second? Second by Ms. Davis. All in favor? We have, any opposed? All right, abstentions. All right, that is good. Yeah, abstention is Ms. Thorne, by the way. We are moving into executive session.